Heavy armor, powerful guns, and unmatched speed. This is how Soviet tanks looked. From the first T-18 to the legendary T-34 and the heavy IS tanks, these machines shaped the battlefield. So sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy the ride through the evolution of Soviet armored power. Here we have the T-18, also known as the MS-1, the first serial tank of the Soviet Union, adopted into service in 1927. The creation of this vehicle marked an important stage in the development of domestic tank engineering. The T-18 was based on the French Renault FT, but Soviet engineers made modifications, taking into account the experience of the First World War and the specifics of Soviet industry. The crew consisted of 2 people, a commander and a driver-mechanic, and the combat weight was around 6 tons. The armor was relatively thin, up to 16 millimeters, which protected the crew only from small arms fire and shrapnel. The armament included a 37 mm Hotchkiss gun and a 7.62 mm machine gun, mounted in a rotating turret, allowing fire over a limited sector. The engine was an inline, 4-cylinder gasoline engine with about 35 horsepower, providing a speed of up to 16 km per hour. The suspension allowed the tank to overcome small obstacles and shallow ditches. The T-18 became the starting point for subsequent models, the T-26 and the BT fast tanks, laying the foundation for the Soviet tank school and production. The T-26 entered service in 1931 and became the main Soviet light tank of the 1930s. It was developed on the basis of the British Vickers 6-ton and adapted for mass production in the Soviet Union. Compared to the earlier T-18, the T-26 had a larger hull, a 3-man crew, and significantly stronger firepower. Its 45 mm gun allowed it to effectively engage infantry and lightly armored targets. Armor protection reached up to 15 mm, which was sufficient against small arms fire. A gasoline engine with about 90 horsepower gave the tank a road speed of up to 30 km per hour. The T-26 was widely used in combat during the 1930s and became a key step in the development of Soviet armored forces. The BT-2, introduced in 1932, marked a major shift in Soviet tank design towards speed and maneuverability. It was based on the American Christie suspension system, which allowed the tank to move both on tracks and on wheels. Unlike the infantry-focused T-26, the BT-2 was designed for rapid breakthroughs and deep operations behind enemy lines. With a combat weight of around 11 tons and a crew of 3 men, it was classified as a fast light tank, lightly armored but extremely mobile. Early versions were armed with a 37 mm gun, while some carried only machine guns due to weapon shortages. Armor thickness reached up to 13 mm, offering minimal protection but reducing overall weight. A gasoline engine producing around 400 horsepower enabled the BT-2 to reach speeds of up to 70 km per hour on wheels, making it one of the fastest tanks of its era. The BT-2 laid the foundation for the entire BT series and directly influenced the development of the legendary T-34. The BT-5, introduced in 1933, was a further development of the Soviet fast tank concept and an improved version of the earlier BT-2. Like its predecessor, it used the Christie suspension system, allowing movement both on tracks and on wheels. Classified as a fast light tank, the BT-5 had a combat weight of about 11.5 tons and a crew of 3 men. Its main improvement was armament. The tank was equipped with a 45 mm gun, significantly increasing its firepower against enemy armor. Armor thickness reached up to 13 mm, providing limited protection but keeping the vehicle lightweight. A powerful gasoline engine producing around 400 horsepower allowed the BT-5 to reach speeds of up to 70 km per hour on wheels. The BT-7, introduced in 1935, was the final and most advanced version of the Soviet BT fast tank series. It represented the peak of the Christie-based high-speed tank concept developed in the 1930s. Classified as a fast light tank, the BT-7 had a combat weight of approximately 13 tons and a crew of 3, consisting of a commander, a gunner, and a driver. It was armed with a 45 mm gun, which remained effective against most armored vehicles of its time. Armor thickness reached up to 22 mm, offering slightly improved protection while preserving mobility. The tank was powered by a gasoline engine producing around 400 horsepower, allowing it to reach speeds of up to 70 km per hour on wheels and about 50 km per hour on tracks. Operational experience with the BT-7 revealed both the strengths and weaknesses of high-speed lightly armored tanks. These lessons directly influenced the design philosophy behind the T-34. The T-28, introduced in 1933, was the first Soviet medium tank to enter large-scale production. It was designed to support infantry formations and break through fortified defensive lines. Classified as a medium tank, the T-28 had a combat weight of approximately 28 tons and a crew of 6, consisting of a commander, gunner, loader, driver, and 2 machine gun operators. The tank was armed with a 76, 2mm gun mounted in the main turret, supported by several machine guns placed in auxiliary turrets. Armor thickness reached up to 30 mm, which was considered adequate at the time of its introduction but later proved insufficient. The tank was powered by a gasoline engine producing around 500 horsepower, allowing a maximum speed of about 40 km per hour. Although the T-28 became obsolete by the early years of World War II, it provided valuable experience in medium tank design and influenced later Soviet armored development. The T-35, introduced in 1933, was the Soviet Union's only heavy tank to be produced in significant numbers before World War II. It represented the peak of the multi-turret tank concept, which was popular in several countries during the early 1930s. Classified as a heavy tank, the T-35 had a combat weight of approximately 45 tons and a crew of 10, including a commander, gunners, loaders, a driver, and machine gun operators. Its main armament consisted of a 76, 2mm gun mounted in the central turret, supported by multiple secondary turrets armed with smaller guns and machine guns. Armor thickness reached up to 30 mm, which provided limited protection for a vehicle of such size. The tank was powered by a gasoline engine producing around 500 horsepower, allowing a maximum speed of about 30 km per hour. In practice, the T-35 proved mechanically unreliable and difficult to operate. Combat experience demonstrated that multi-turret tanks were inefficient, leading Soviet designers to abandon this concept in favor of simpler, single-turret heavy tanks. The KV-1, introduced in 1939, was the Soviet Union's first true heavy tank with a single-turret design and enhanced armor protection. Its name comes from Klim Voroshilov, a prominent Soviet military and political leader, and the 1 indicates it was the first model in this series. The KV-1 was designed to withstand contemporary German anti-tank weapons at the outbreak of World War II. Classified as a heavy tank, it had a combat weight of approximately 45 tons and a crew of 5. Commander, gunner, loader, driver, and radio operator. Its main armament was a 76.2mm gun in a rotating turret, complemented by secondary machine guns. The armor reached up to 75mm on the whole front, making it almost impervious to most German weapons of 1941. Powered by a gasoline engine producing around 600 horsepower, it could reach speeds of up to 35 km per hour despite its size. The KV-1 proved mechanically reliable in combat, and demonstrated the effectiveness of combining heavy armor with a single turret layout, influencing all subsequent Soviet heavy tanks. The T-34, introduced in 1940, became one of the most influential tanks of World War II. It combined mobility, firepower, and protection in a way that was revolutionary for its time. Classified as a medium tank, the T-34 had a combat weight of approximately 26 to 30 tons and a crew of 4, commander, gunner, loader, and driver. Its main armament was a 76.2mm gun, which was effective against contemporary German tanks, and it carried 2 7.62mm machine guns for infantry defense. The tank featured sloped armor up to 45mm thick on the whole front, which increased effective protection without adding excessive weight. Powered by a 500 horsepower V2 diesel engine, the T-34 could reach speeds of up to 54 km per hour on roads, giving it exceptional tactical mobility. The T-34 proved to be reliable, easy to produce, and highly versatile in combat. It became the backbone of the Red Army's armored forces and laid the foundation for later models, including the T-3485. In this part, we looked at the first Soviet tanks, from the T-18, which became the starting point for all domestic armored vehicles, to the legendary T-34, which changed the course of World War II. We learned how armor, armament, and mobility evolved over time, and why each model left its mark in history. Thank you for watching. Sit back, relax, and stay with us, because ahead are more legendary tanks from different countries. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe for more.